We continue looking at different reactions to the first part of the State Capture Commission report, which recommends a fixed percentage of monies recovered be awarded to whistleblowers. For reaction, I'm joined now by Cynthia Stimpel, the former SAA treasurer and co-founder of Citizens of Conscience Foundation. Cynthia, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Let's just get to the issue of your response as a whistleblower to what you've read so far in the first part of the State Capture report.
Thank you, Chair, for inviting me, and thank you to all our listeners currently. My reaction, just having read the report, the State Capture Commission report earlier today, is that it is stark in the evidence that it is putting forward with everyone who's been able to come and give their testimonies at the State Capture Commission. The evidence is so clear and so damning that one knows that action needs to be taken. So my personal view is that action should be taken sooner rather than later. I heard earlier that our president said that he's going to wait for the third part, which, okay, is in 3 months, but work can start happening within the first part because it's broken up into certain sections of the state-owned enterprises. And SAA being right up front, there's enough evidence to start working on at least prosecuting and making sure that those that were implicated and complicit in state capture must then be actioned against.
Now, as a whistleblower, are you concerned that it will take too long for anyone to see any justice with what you guys had to say at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry and all the evidence that was presented?
Indeed, Chair, that's exactly what we've seen with the Marikana Commission, the Nugent Commission, and various others that have come out, and there's no specific action taken. And so that is a concern, that nothing happens, that the State Capture report is shelved and just all postponed for any action because there's other major issues in the country to deal with. I'm saying there's exactly the evidence available that key investigators have already worked on. And so it would be really easy. It's like low-hanging fruit that our NPA can actually action far sooner. And so I'd be very upset if they have to not do anything about it. And in fact, it would be tragic for South Africa if we do that, because we've seen the demise of our country. We've seen how deep and wide corruption has impacted our country. And here's an opportunity now to make good, to do something about it and show that we're not going to tolerate it as a country any longer, that our laws should reign supreme, that the Constitution should reign supreme, and that everyone is bound by those laws. So yes, I would really appreciate it, and that's my prayer, that action be taken and the laws enforced.
Cynthia, in my intro, I mentioned that you are a former SAA treasurer, and of course then you became a whistleblower. Give us your reasoning for becoming a whistleblower and perhaps just a portion of your testimony at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry.
Thanks, Chair. This happened in 2019 already when I gave my evidence in June over 2 days. So my role at SAA, I've been at SAA roughly 10 years at the time, and I always deputized as a group treasurer. And at the time that this issue happened, it was in my role as group treasurer. We normally seek funding from the banks, and here our board were instructing us to get funding from an unknown client called BNP Capital. And with this, they also wanted to pay this client for work that is already done by my team and myself, which is accounted for in our salaries. They wanted to pay BNP Capital 256 million rand for roughly 3 months' work. And I felt that that went against everything. It went against our policies and procedures, the way the procurement was done. Secondly, is to pay that phenomenal fee for work that they could have been saving money when each of us in the organization were tasked to save money. And being board should have been far more astute in their leadership in saving funds for SA, and they're the ones authorizing to pay an unknown company. So hence, I had no choice. But I first tried to stop it within the organization, but then I took it out. So I had no choice but to be a whistleblower and to speak out about this.
But this may have brought about fears, despite some support that you may have gotten from your family and friends. There may have been some fears that you faced as being a whistleblower.
Yes, indeed. And I think many whistleblowers are faced with similar feelings of fear, and some receive death threats and worse than that, like we know of Babita Deokaran. So in my case, yes, there were cars following me and cars outside my home in those first couple of months of my having been suspended and having spoken out. And then everything quieted down. But recently, the fears have picked up because I've had a car outside my house taking photos. I've had someone actually pitch up at my place to confirm this is where I'm living. They did give their name. And when I researched them, found that they were linked to people in government. So yes, so the fears are back. And we are just taking more precautions. And again, there is the support from my family, which has been superb, and obviously friends and my own personal network. Thank you.
There's always, Cynthia, been the issue of the protection of whistleblowers. Have you received much from any form of protection, especially now that your fears are back, now that the report has been released?
Seho, to tell you the truth, nothing. We all know that we do have a Protected Disclosures Act. It is inefficient, it needs enhancement, it does not protect whistleblowers, full stop. There's far more issues surrounding a whistleblower protection. We've made recommendations to the State Capture Commission earlier this year to make it as part of the recommendations, which we'll see. Part of it has been coming out in this first part of the report. And so, no, the current Protection Disclosures Act does not protect whistleblowers, does not protect them from a personal safety perspective. The Witness Protection Act does not cover whistleblowers. It covers criminal acts. So if I witnessed a criminal act, I would be protected and go into the Witness Protection Program, but not for whistleblowers. Those that were whistleblowers and requested it were ignored by the various sections. So in many ways, there's the financial detriment, there's the health detriment, there's the impact on your family, there's the impact on your mental side, there's the impact on not having even future income. So it's just a long, big knock-on effect. And yes, we are not truly protected. It definitely needs to be enhanced. And also wanted to look at a broader campaign for taking not only occupational detriment within an organization. What if you're a freelancer, you pick up some fraud and you raise it? You're not protected, so you then lose your job, those freelancing opportunities. So it's something that really needs to be worked on within our laws and the framework of our legal system.
Cynthia, how do you feel now that the report has been out? Well, the first part of the State Capture Commission report has been handed over to the President and has been made public, and the contents of that report?
Well, I'm quite happy about it. I feel vindicated that my story holds true because of the evidence that's there. I do hold some concerns, though, that government may not enforce it, and that's where the risk lies for our country. We already seen what's happened this year. So July, for instance, with the looting and the riots, something totally unexpected around issues of what happened with the former president. However, everything in that whole period was also illegal. And so it means that if we don't action any of what comes out in the Zondo State Capture report, we then are allowing our country to go into moral decay. Already we're unable to hold basic laws and people accountable. So for me, it's people need to be held accountable. We need to start stopping, in fact, a push strongly back for anyone who's not being held accountable.